Now, probably like you, I like to save money when I can. So when I find a good deal on, say, a bulk item like hamburger, ground beef, I'll grab it because I like to take that ground beef and portion it out for several things. Now, I got a great deal on a 7-pound package of 8812 ground beef, not 8020, 8812, which is a little leaner. Now, that size of package was at a great price of $3.99 a pound. So I've taken 3 pounds of that ground beef, and I'm going to turn those 3 pounds into burgers. But not just burgers that I'm going to send out to the grill right now. These are burgers that are going to go in the freezer. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to portion out that meat. We've got 3 pounds, and there are 16 ounces per pound, so that's 48 ounces. I want 8 burgers. 48 divided by 8, 6. We're going to make 6-ounce burgers. Then we're going to freeze those burgers that we form before we vacuum seal them. Now, the reason for doing that, for pre-freezing the burgers before you vacuum seal them, is something I'll talk about when we move on to the vacuum sealing. But for right now, let's get on to portioning and forming these burgers. So I have my scale right here, and I have it set to ounces. And just so you can see, here is the 3 pounds of ground beef, and it is 3 pounds, 0.7 ounces. Now it's going to put a piece of parchment paper on here. That'll help make the cleanup easier. And we're just going to go for 6 ounces. 5.9, that's pretty darn close. Let's just see here. 6.5, too much. 6.1, that's good. I'm just going to take that amount here, kind of form it into a little meatball, and I'm just going to put it aside on a plate. And just keep on doing that. $5.9 is close enough. So I'm going to put a square of parchment paper down on my cutting board here and our burger ring. This is about a 4-inch burger ring, just a little bit more than that. What I want to do is take one of our burger meatballs and just press it down in there. Now, because this is a little bit leaner ground beef, not 80/20, you could get a little stickage with the ring. So there's a couple things you can do there. You could spray the ring with a little bit of, say, vegetable oil spray. But really, if you just give it a simple twist like this, it should release. Just like that. I'm going to move this off to a tray that is going to go in the freezer with all the burgers on it to freeze them. And we're just going to keep on doing this. Now, some people pre-season the burgers. They will add salt and pepper at this point. I like to save that for when they're thawed and hitting the grill. But one thing you can do if you want to, before you even form these into the burger balls, is mix something into the burgers, into the hamburger. Something like mushrooms or blue cheese or anything you want in there. Make it a really great burger. That's a great thing to add ahead of time if you're going to do that. But these are just going to be straight up, nicely frozen, vacuum sealed hamburgers. And I'm not, packing these super tight, but I do want a good form on them. And I'm trying to keep them about as even as I can here on the top so that there's not one side that's thicker than the others, but, do your best. If you have another sort of burger press, go ahead and use that. I just like using these rings. So here are the burgers all formed on their parchment paper pieces and in a nice little tray. So this is going to go in my freezer now, and it's going to go for 2 hours. I want these burgers nice and solid before we vacuum seal them and then put them back in the freezer for longer term storage. So let's get them in the freezer, and I'll see you back here in a couple hours. So our burger patties have been freezing for 2 hours, and they're pretty solid. I just checked them a minute ago. We'll get those out here in a minute, but I want to show you the vacuum seal bags and the vacuum sealer that I'm using here. Now, this is just a very basic vacuum sealer. I've had it for, I think, about 3 years. It's working fine. It doesn't do fancy things, but it does the job that I need it to do. And on the vacuum seal bags here, I just cut them to the length that I need. Basically, I took the burger ring, set it on here, and I need it about this wide. I want to do 2 burger patties per bag. And then on the sealed edge right here, this is the seal that you make. I write the weight of the burger patties and the date that I freeze them. That's just so 6 months from now, when you can't remember what it was you froze and put in the freezer, you can look at it and read it and say, oh yeah, it was that. So let's get our burger patties out here and start sealing them up. Yeah, these are looking good. Those are pretty frozen. And they peel off nicely from the parchment paper, which is a good thing because they can get really stuck to the steel. That's why I like doing them on parchment paper. So I want to get one of my bags here. I'm going to get one burger in and another burger in. And one of the reasons that I like to freeze them before doing the vacuum sealing is if I was to just put those raw burger patties in here, the pressure exerted by this will squish those down and suck juice out of them. You're going to lose a lot of that flavor. It's better to pre-freeze them. So I'm going to hit vacuum and seal. There we go. Package of frozen burgers ready to go. I like to do them in 2s because that's easier than packaging 8 together or 6 or 4. That way, if you're going to do a burger for you and someone else or 2 for yourself, you just pull out one package, leave the rest in the freezer. Let's do another one. My bag out. Another one done. And there it is. I've got 8 6-ounce burgers ready to use whenever I want them. They'll be waiting in the freezer for me. I've kept these in there for probably, I think the longest I ever did a burger was about 6 or 7 months. It's not because they won't last longer. That's about the longest that they'll last before I end up using them. I don't make things ahead for a year. So yeah, I mean, I've done these for about 6 months or so and then use them and they're great. So if you're interested in something like this, I would look into it because vacuum sealers are a great way to save money and time down the road. You don't have to make burgers later. You just make them all in one batch, freeze them up, and they're ready to go.